Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps and I'm joined now with Malik Scott. Malik, it has been forever since I've seen you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. As you can see, the new position I have in this this boxing game, I've embraced it. I've really been enjoying it. I've been enjoying it because of the student that I'm training, which is Deontay Wilder. He's been very receptive. I keep using that word because it's the most important word to me. That's going to define his victory come Saturday night. And I've been enjoying it, and we've been creating, and everything has been going well.
Let's talk a bit about the transition into that new role. I know that you guys have always been great friends.
Right.
You guys previously have fought many years back in Puerto Rico. I remember I was there for that.
Yep.
But what was the conversation like when it sort of came about?
It was literally the night after the fight.
Oh, so straight away.
I was straight away,
Okay.
immediately. Wow, and what was crazy about it is, because like after Saturday, we all leave and go home and Sunday morning. I was so tore down from the fight and Deontay losing. From there, I went up to his room, told him goodbye, I love him, everything, we'll get together. And I went to my room, grabbed my luggage, and then I just left. And when I left, I went back to California. By the time I got back to Cali, Deontay was on his way from here going to his home in L.A. And he called me like 3, 4 in the morning. You could tell he was, a little disappointed and down. And I just heard it in his voice. And he said, bro, the change is being made, and I want you to come in. I need your knowledge, I need your experience, I need your energy, and I want you to help me to get this thing back for a second time. And like I keep telling everybody, I was insulted that he asked me because I'll do anything for him. We started working in LA. Well, before that, the film study I was doing a lot, and we were sharing just boxing dialogue 3 or 4 times a week. Then we end up training in LA a few sessions, and then we end up moving camp to Alabama. But even before that, Michelle, Deontay had 2.5 training camps he was in doing strength and condition for this fight. But it got postponed more and more and more. But the last time, it didn't, and I went to Alabama. I set up shop there, basically lived there for the last 4 or 5 months of what's ever been, if not more. And we just been having a good time. Even when the fight got postponed, none of us really left and went home and got totally relaxed. A lot of us, we gave Deontay off. We came up with a plan. Even though he took that time off, he still was training, doing certain things. But as far as the boxing, we took our foot off the gas. They gave us a new date, and we had our foot back on the gas, and the rest is history. And we're here now. But it's been a long road, and for him to get back in this position, he made sure he didn't do it alone. He brought people on board. He brought our nutritionist Jack. He brought Dr. Alamin on board. Obviously I'm the head trainer now, and we still got Joey Scott as the strength guy, and everyone have stepped up their levels on whatever it is that they do for him. You know what I mean? So it's been good.
So there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the decisions. Obviously, his reasons are personal, and he has every right to make those decisions. But a lot of people felt that on the night, the right decision was made, that no one wants to see Deontay permanently injured. No one wants to see any major damage. No one wants to see him get to a point where he can't fight again and continue to provide for his family, right? So when that time, in that moment, did you also feel that it was premature? Did you guys have any sort of conversation in regards to that? Because from my perspective, I care about D. I think he's a great guy. I've known him forever. I thought that was the right decision.
Right. So you're asking me, did I feel that same way as well?
Right. Well, in the moment,
in the moment, if anyone, all of us who, because if you're coming from a place of love and care, that's the obvious thought or the obvious feeling. But then I'm knowing how passionate he's always been and how adamant he's always been about never having the towel thrown in, especially never having the towel thrown in by a trainer that doesn't even check with no one else before they throw the towel in. It's not like the round before he told Deontay, give me one more round, show me something where I'm gonna throw the towel in. It's not like he tapped JD's and then threw the towel in. He just took it into his own hands and threw the towel in. So the way it was done, not the fact that it was done, it's the way it was done. It was the intent behind it as far as Deontay feeling and as far as he's concerned about it. So it's like I understand people from afar feeling that way, but at the same time, as his head trainer, I got an obligation to him, and that's just not to train him and make sure he's good physically, mentally, and spiritually and everything, but it's also to abide by his obligation. His obligation is he'll rather go out on his shield. And we're going to say Saturday night, shit hit the fan, he's in that position. I'm not throwing no towel in because I know what his intent is to do to the other guy. I say it again, Deontay Wilder hits people and trying to send them to the next dimension. He's went on record and say he wants a body on his record. He doesn't mind none of that. So a man that speak like that, and he tell me, and he make me understand that that can never happen, a towel getting thrown in. And he been talking about this for years, even before like the last fight. And it happened, and he, you know, he made his decision.
Malik, at the same time, you know, not saying that this is going to happen, but at the same time, one must say from your perspective is to protect him and make sure that he never gets permanently injured. No one wants to see anybody, especially their fighter.
Right, my preparation for him come into preparation. Like, you know what I mean? That's how I give my protection. But when you got someone that is strong spiritually and warrior mentality as like Deontay, he's so adamant about that. And if Deontay was the type of guy that didn't say the things he wanted to do to other fighters maliciously and send them to next dimensions and get a body on his record, I would feel like we'll say the regular civilian feel about it, like, no, you have to protect him. But I can't know the fighter I train and how I'm training him and what I'm training him to do to other people. I can't like, I have to follow the obligation of what he want when that's done. Right. So even from the comfort of our couch when we're talking about it, you know, I never want no towel thrown in on him. I can't wait until we get into the war and say, yeah, he told me that on the couch, but that was then. I can't take, no. You out to get people? And he has a clear understanding of this. When you out to get someone and you out to take a life, you risking your life to do that. And he's said this. This is very, very harsh for people to hear, and it's very uncomfortable for people to hear, even though we're in a sport where these kind of things happen. And even when I play devil's advocate, Michelle, I'm understanding to people that say, well, Mark did the right thing. Well, you know, I care about Deontay. I understand you guys as well, but at the same time, I understand Deontay more. And the reason I understand him more, and I keep saying it because I know what he's trying to do to people. I know what his goal is. His goal is to take you to the next dimension and send you there and go.
D has actually said before, he's like, I'd rather die in the ring, right? Nobody wants to see that, though.
Right.
Nobody wants to see that. So, but because he says that, is that sort of where you guys all stand? Like, are you prepared to sort of ever let that get to that point? Not saying that it's going to happen, but I mean, like, just in general.
I'm prepared for anything that comes with the casualties of war when it comes to this boxing game, and this is coming from someone that wasn't my mentality when I'm in the ring, but what I am going to do is honor my brother and what he said. His request, absolutely. I have to honor that because it's no game. He's never made me feel like this is some joke. He's never made me feel like this is something I'm saying for the cameras, bro. No. When you got a man that's very adamant and he's telling people publicly and worldwide, I want to catch a body on my record. I'm trying to send people to the next dimension. It's almost like that makes me feel even more confident of never throwing the towel in. The shit sounds crazy, but I would abide by what he said and what he lived by and everything when it comes to that, because once again, I know what he's trying to do to other fighters. And not only that, I highly request, anybody that's boxing this guy, if you get him in a vulnerable position, finish him. Because if he gets you in a vulnerable position, Deontay Wilder's not showing no mercy. He's trying to send you somewhere. And it goes both ways. I'm not just saying it for him, obviously. He's my brother and the man that I'm training, the fighter I'm training. But it also goes with, I'm giving everyone fair warning. When y'all fighting this dude, and if y'all get him in a position, and y'all able to get him out of there and take your chance, because he have every intention on sending y'all to another dimension.
This is a very personal fight, obviously. Yeah. I think it's fair to say that both of them, this is a grudge match. Even though I asked Tyson about it the other day, he doesn't feel it's that way. He just wants to get in there and fight. But I feel it's really personal for Deontay. Initially coming into this, I wasn't quite sure if it was going to be, because, you know, there is always the concern that if someone's a little too emotional going into a fight, that can be a disadvantage. Right. But seeing him on stage today, he was pretty composed, given that Tyson, you could see where Tyson was trying to kind of get him to, you know, bait him a little bit to kind of, and we saw just a little bit of that towards the end, where you could see where Deontay you could see the itch that he wanted to come out and sort of engage.
Michelle, these two guys,
Sorry, maybe skip
That's
over
good.
this.
Okay. These two guys, even through violence, even through the casualty of war, even through everything, this is a deserving trilogy. This trilogy is deserving, and like as far as like when Tyson is up there and trying to get into his head, and Deontay's not falling for it, and being calm, cool, and collective, like that's good. But I need that same demeanor and that calm right when we hurt Tyson. It's time to go finish him. I need you to be calm just like that. Them the emotions I need to be in order, because he's going to hurt him. The question is, when he do get him hurt, I want him to do the exact things he's been doing in training, and that's being very surgical. That's doing things from a fundamental, systematic base, and not getting over anxious and over committing. Right. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
In the lead up to before we got the announcement that he won arbitration, I kept pressing the issue during my interviews with like Eddie Hearn and everybody, and I kept mentioning arbitration, because I knew for a fact there was no definitive answer at that point. Right. When that was ongoing, because I remember Telly actually commented on one of my posts and was like, he has to fight Deontay first, arbitration isn't over. Right. And it just sort of clocked with me, and I kept pressing the issue, and everyone seemed to be, I guess, in a confident state of that AJ and Tyson were going to be able to move forward. What did you guys think of?
We didn't understand that at all, because I mean, it was even at times where like, I don't know, Eddie Hearn and Tyson, I don't know. We're in a time where, like, going public about something that you're not unsure of is just a no-no. And they did that. Fury and Eddie Hearn did that. I don't really think AJ was really in that mix. He never went verbally. He always said that's the fight he won, but he never said it was going to happen. But the head case, Tyson Fury, did say it was going to happen. And he literally said it 11 hours before arbitration came. The whole time, I'm talking about not even during that week, months, we knew what was going on in arbitration. It was like, how didn't they know? Even if you thought they was going to lose, even if you thought we was going to lose in arbitration, you still shouldn't be announcing fights. That was a spit in a judge's face, and they got spanked for it. And they got spanked for it in a very, very righteous way, and I was happy with it, because we're here now to get a fight that Deontay deserved. It was contractual, agreed to. They tried to go around him. That's another thing we're going to make him pay for October 9th.
Today, Mauricio Solomon said that the winner of this fight will have 1 month to either try to make the fight with Oleksandr Usyk, which is likely not to happen because obviously AJ is exercising his rematch clause, or so we hear. But then it would be the winner of Dillian Whyte versus Otto Wallin. What do you make of both of them, or I guess Oleksandr Usyk, as well as who you think is going to win, Dillian Whyte or Otto Wallin?
Dillian Whyte and Otto Wallin is a very, very good fight, but Dillian is very, very good at preparing himself for whatever style. And what I mean by that is Dillian, he knows how to go into, you could say, a dark place during training. He knows how to like really get himself up for an opponent. And this guy is going to get Dillian up. Like, Dillian's going to be up for this guy, so people can expect a good performance from Dillian, but he's going to have to earn it from this guy, Wilder, because this guy is southpaw. He's tricky. He's a real southpaw. Not a stationary southpaw. He's a southpaw that his head is not on the line. You have to find him, because some southpaws you fight, they fight literally just like this. No, this guy, he's here. He's here. The feet is around. So he make you earn whatever you give him from that southpaw stance. So Dillian got his work cut out for him, but I believe Dillian should pull it out, though. I do. But it's definitely a tough fight. I commend Dillian on taking that fight with Wallin, because we've seen the trouble that Wallin gave Fury. Yeah. And it's not because Fury had an off night. It's because Wallin is that good. He can fight. People always get the narrative mixed up. It's almost like they look at a fight like Fury and Wallin and say, man, Fury couldn't even handle that. No, Wallin's a good fighter. That's what Tyson Fury couldn't do what he wanted to, because Wallin is that good. And when I say that good, I don't mean some great fight. I mean stylistically, his style is that good to offset Fury's. He just offset him. His style is stylistically good enough to make offset Dillian Whyte. But I believe Dillian Whyte is going to pass the test with flying colors. Dillian is tough, and in my opinion, probably one of the most underrated heavyweights in this time right now. I talk about the way he's built all the time. He appears short for some reason, but then when you get in the ring with him, he come across as every bit of 6'3". Then when you think you're out of range of him, you're not, because his arms hang down past his knees almost. So he has this body frame where he appears short, so you'll think you're out of reach because you're thinking his arms is short, when really you could be feet away from him, but you're thinking you're out of range, and he hitting you with an offset jab and like catching you while you think you're not in range. I watch him box Vladimir Klitschko and do incredible work against Klitschko. This one, Dillian wasn't even that experienced. And he wasn't like he was hitting Vladimir a lot, but I kept wondering why he was having so much success with hitting Vladimir with a consistent jab. And it's because the length of his arms, and Dillian had very good timing. Very good, especially for his body type. He has very good timing in his mindset because he's another aggressive, emotional guy. So when I see a guy like that having good timing, I commend that, because it's hard to have good timing when you're emotional because you just want to go. So some form of humility have to kick in when you say, no, I got to set this guy up. I have to do it this way. I want to operate it this way. And Dillian, he's still learning. He got a great, great trainer in his corner. I don't know how tight him and Harold Knight is, or how close Harold Knight is as far as the hair trainer or whatever, but I advise Dillian Whyte to keep Harold Knight close by, because Harold Knight is who trained me and took me to Lennox Lewis, and he was with Lennox Lewis for 14 years, and Harold Knight had his own career when he was USBA champion and fought IBF champion and lost it to I think it was Rocky Lock, which he lost it to. But Harold Knight is one of the best underrated trainers in the game. He's not a loudmouth guy. If he was here, you wouldn't even know. If you meet him, he wouldn't even talk about boxing with you. And he's a boxing historian. He taught me kind of how to go about being a student of the game with my film study. So Dillian got Harold Knight, and I advise Dillian to keep Harold Knight close by. Matter of fact, keep him close by and put him in a good position where he has real say-so, because the knowledge that Harold Knight got is priceless. You got 14 years with Lennox Lewis, so that means you was around Pepe Correa for all those years, you was around Emmanuel Stewart for all those years, and you was with Lennox all those years, and you had your own career. That knowledge is priceless.
Right.
Like, guys like Harold Knight, as far as trainers, should always have a job, a suitable job in boxing, because they paid the dues. And he's with Dillian Whyte now. And you see how Dillian looked when he fought Povetkin in the rematch. He looked very good. And, that felt good for me to see Harold being a part of that.
Lastly, Oleksandr Usyk.
Yeah.
So many people wrote him off.
Yeah.
They thought he was too small. They thought it wasn't going to be possible. I don't know if it's just that everyone sort of had AJ on a pedestal, or if they just overlooked his talent altogether, maybe because of his last two performances at heavyweight weren't the strongest, as we know. Obviously, the first time around, it was a last-minute replacement with Chaz Witherspoon, and then with Jarrett Chisora. So were you surprised at all with the outcome?
Michelle,
Or
if you go look at some of my interviews or some of my write-ups or whatever, I always told people that Oleksandr Usyk is like a master in the ring. He makes you pay for everything. He controlled distance so good with his feet, with his feints, with his decoys. He literally manipulated AJ a few times, and AJ was the bigger man, and he brought AJ down to his actual height by feinting down and making AJ a 10 decoys that was down here. So it's like, he's magical to watch for a fighter like me, because I'm into you could say the pizzazz and like the technicalities of the sport. So watching a guy like that for me, and then being in the ring with him, it's like he's incredible. So we'll say,
because you guys have shared camps.
I've been in tons of camps. He used to bring me. He brought me to Ukraine
a
few times. To Ukraine a few times. Even when he trained in America, he always had me with him. And then he would do things like this. What a good guy he is. He would do things like this when other overseas fighters, top guys like Alexander Povetkin, and was getting ready for fights. He would call them immediately and recommend, get Malik Scott over there, man. He'll be good for you. Stuff like that, it mean the world to me, because this is Usyk, and he has his own regimen of guys and everything. He's a good person. I was happy for him to see him get the win. I think AJ can make the rematch much more interesting. I don't think AJ need to fire his trainer, because Rob McCracken is a very good trainer as well. I think that they may just need help and collectively come up with a better plan, because if they stick with that same plan and nothing changes, Usyk is going to stop him next time.
Well, you do realize that if Deontay is successful on Saturday night, y'all might be colliding.
That's where we're going. We're going right for Usyk, and I think that's a dynamic fight. That's like a super bout. Usyk fighting Deontay. That is so super, because you got to realize the reason why it makes it entertaining, because even though Usyk beat AJ clearly to me, right? He still left out the fight his face was, he was in war. So that means he was getting hit. Fighting Deontay Wilder, so you're getting hit. So now, when I put that two together, it's all about how Usyk can deal with that power. not only how Usyk can deal with that power, how do he deal with that power coming from a disciplined, responsible, humility having Deontay? The one that y'all about to see Saturday night, the one that sets things up, the one that is not over anxious, over committing. That fight is a very, very super fight, and I'm happy I'm gonna be a part of it because it's going to happen. We're going to knock out Tyson Fury Saturday. We're going straight to Usyk, no in between stuff. We're going straight at Oleksandr because if they don't change that, AJ, it'll be very, very bad next time. Oleksandr doesn't, Usyk doesn't hit very, very hard, but what he does is have snap, and he's very, very sharp. He hit AJ with that shot and buckled AJ legs. That's not because he's not a hard puncher. People keep forgetting. So we'll say everybody get the benefit of the doubt besides Usyk, to me, moving up to the heavyweight division. He only had 2 fights, and he's undisputed heavyweight, not undisputed. He's unified heavyweight champion of the world right now. He only had 2 fights.
I know.
2 fights there. And people won't say, well, he looked like crap because he was in against a tough fighter like Derek Chisora. They look at it like, well, he looked bad against Chisora. Chisora's a good, tough fighter. Like, he's a tough fighter. Like, you got to earn it when you're in there with Chisora. That's anybody. You have to earn it. So I didn't really count like those fights. When he fought Chisora, when he fought Chaz, because I knew he was just introducing himself physically to the heavyweight division. But it's always been something that him and his camp seen in AJ. They always wanted that AJ fight.
They did.
They've been chasing that AJ fight for so long. And looking at the back history of Usyk, he's been fighting heavyweights even in the amateurs. He got wins over Joe Joyce, who's, Joe Joyce is coming too. I forgot. Joe Joyce is another animal that the heavyweight division is on fire.
I know it is.
You get to talking about Fury and Wilder so much in AJ, it's like, damn, Joe Joyce existing, and he's very violent as well. It's like, shit.
He's like a damn wall. He's so big.
Yeah, and he's very, very busy. He has a great manager in Sam Jones, and he has an engine. I never seen nobody with the engine that Joe Joyce got. He can go and keep going, and as the rounds go, his engine gets stronger and stronger and stronger. I don't think that's something you can condition yourself with. I think that's, God put a little bit more sauce on his man, because that's a little different. Like, I never seen that, and it doesn't matter who he's fighting, and this could be a good or bad thing. Joe Joyce style is consistent. If you punch hard, he's coming to you. If you're a pressure fighter, he's coming to you. If he's coming to you. All he knows is I'm coming to you. Joe Joyce, he reminds me of like how an early George Foreman was. He give you an ultimatum. I'm coming. Can you stop me? No, I'm gonna fuck you up then. That's Joe Joyce style.
Yeah.
I'm getting in great shape. I'm gonna come. If you can take it, then it's gonna be a good fight. But if you can't, God be with you. And then I've boxed him tons of rounds too. He can punch, good punches to the body. Awkward. He's a better fighter, and he's very deceptive. Joe Joyce. He's faster than what he looks. You get in there with him, he hits harder than the seam. He got credible. How many fights Joe got? 13, 14, something like that?
I don't even know.
Something like that. Either way, his resume is very, very good for that. He just stopped Takam. Takam is tough. Most casual look at that fight and say he ain't fight nobody. He fought Takam. He fought Brian Jennings. Yeah. Brian Jennings is probably the most in-shape physical heavyweight. He has a good style. And he hurt Joe. And Joe won that. Like, it's like, Joe Joyce is fucking coming too, man. I forgot. Like, jeez. That's going to make me think about other heavyweights. Like, damn, I forgot. Yeah, he's in contentions, actually. Yeah. Joe Joyce is in contentions. Because I think Sam Jones is trying to get him to fight Usyk, is he? He's trying to throw a curveball or something.
Well, they were going to be. They were supposed to be fighting for an interim title. Right. That was eventually going to get the winner of.
And they didn't fight for that interim title yet, correct?
No.
Okay.
Because remember how Deontay won the arbitration case, and then Usyk then went to. Right.
Okay. Yeah. But Joe Joyce is a problem too. It's like it's certain like you give me a fighter. So we'll say my favorite fan-friendly fights, stuff that I would pay to go to, and I don't even really like going to fights live, but something I would pay my money to go to. You tell me Joe Joyce is fighting Dillian Whyte, I'm paying my money to go.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, right?
Where I got to fly to.
Come on, it's like I'm paying my money to go.
Yeah,
it's just super fights like that I wish could get made. That's like an animalistic fight. That fight has knockout, stoppage, bloody noses, black eyes, good body shots, nice feints written all over it. Like, you're going to get science, you're going to get brutal, you're going to get everything in that kind of fight. So, yeah, shout out to them guys, Joe Joyce and Dylan. And shout out to all of them until they on the other side.
Right.
I fuck with all them heavyweights until Deontay Wilder's facing them. Then it's work. You know what I mean? So it's good, man.
Well, Malik, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your patience as well. I know that everyone over here has been so patient, but I wish you guys all the best. Most importantly, may the best man win, but also they both come out safe at the end of the day. That's all I care about. Any final words?
Deontay Wilder is remotivated, rejuvenated. The man has done everything I've asked him and more in training camp. I've never seen him in this mindset before. I've never seen him create like this before, have an open mind like this. You guys are going to see the best of him. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't, make sure you click the pay-per-view button and get with it, because it's one of the biggest fights ever. This is the trilogy. And it's a deserving trilogy. Mike Tyson fighting Evander Holyfield wasn't a trilogy because it wasn't deserving. Mike never caused Holyfield any problems. These guys have knocked each other down. These guys have hurt each other. Now we're here for the third one, baby. So get your popcorn and everything else ready.
Thank you so much for your time, Malik. I always appreciate it, as always. All right, bye, Fight fans. Hey, Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking this icon right here and hit the bell button below so that you can receive an alert every time we upload a new video.